You're listening to The Law Show on News Talk 760 WJR. Now from the Dailey Law Firm, PC, here's the host of The Law Show, Brian Dailey.
Welcome back once again to The Law Show. I'm attorney Brian Dailey, broadcasting live from high atop the Law Show studios in the city of Motors, Motown, Detroit, Michigan. News Talk 760 WJR. I'm answering all your legal questions at 855-LAW-SHOW. That's 855-529-7469. If you're not in line, you better get in line. I want to mention also that if you, toward the end of our show on WJR, have not been able to get through, or if you're just coming in at the end of the show, don't hesitate to call because we continue the Law Show Extra on thelawshow.com. Same number, 855-529-7469. 855-LAW-SHOW after the show is off the WJR air. We'll answer your questions, and often it goes quite a long time, people calling in and asking us questions and giving us information and things like that. I'm joined today with Matt Catchick, and he is the head of our family law and criminal defense and traffic and probate department of the Dailey Law Firm. He's been with our firm for many, many years. He's a great lawyer, and he has tremendous client retention. He does a really, really good job of everything he does. And the first thing I want to ask him is something I always ask him is, who cares about a traffic ticket? It's just 2 points. So what? You can probably get it down to 1 point. Why even bother? You got to take time off work to go see the lawyer. You got to take time off work to go to court. It costs you a lot of money. What's the big deal?
Yeah, first and foremost, I'd like to dispel a myth out there, Brian. If you get a traffic ticket and you elect to simply pay it, it does not stay on your record for 2 years. It stays on your driving record for 7 years. And car insurance companies will generally hold that ticket against you and charge you increased premiums for as long as 5 to 6 years. That's why I tell my clients and potential clients, always challenge every single ticket. Whether you have a bad driving record or whether you have a clean record and you want to keep it clean, it is always worth it to challenge a ticket with a traffic attorney, because if that traffic attorney can keep it from going on your record, they will more than pay for themselves in what they're going to save you in insurance premiums. That's why you've got to challenge every ticket, because if you just let it slide, it's going to stay there for 7 years, not 2 years. And on top of that, if you hire a traffic attorney, Brian, in the vast majority of cases, not all, but almost all, the attorney can appear on behalf for your behalf at court, so you didn't have to take time off from work, which can be a substantial savings to lots of people, whether they're hourly or salaried, and they have to, use up their valuable vacation time. That's just another service the attorney can provide. So my heartfelt advice is, if you get a traffic ticket, no matter where you get it, please call me or some traffic attorney so we can talk about your options, because it is always a good idea to challenge every ticket to keep it from going on your record.
I talk to people every now and again, and they say, well, I've got a clean record, so it really doesn't matter if I get one ticket on it, but I don't think you agree with that, do you?
Well, and here's the problem we get. There are several, courts in Metro Detroit, Brian, vary widely from court to court in what they're willing or not willing to do. And many courts, if you have anything on your record, 1 or 2 tickets, they won't give you any deals. So if you get that first ticket and you've got a perfectly clean record, and you think to yourself, it's just 1 ticket, who cares? Well, that 1 ticket may prevent you from getting another ticket benefit if you get another ticket in the next 7 years. And statistically speaking, almost everybody gets a ticket at least once every 7 years. So if you've got a perfectly clean record, that's all the more reason to keep it clean. Because if you just pay the ticket, 3 years later you get another ticket, you may get it in a court where they're not going to give you any deals because you just paid the first one.
So if you've been given a traffic ticket, or somebody that's out there has been given a traffic ticket, give us a call right now, or call us during regular business hours at our regular phone number, which is the same number you call to get in on the radio show. It's 855-LAW-SHOW. That's 855-529-7469. It may not seem like a big deal to you, but you know what? It's going to be a big deal if you let 1 ticket go on your record and then you try to defend against another ticket, because the prosecutor's going to say, hey, it's not like they got a clean record, but if you had called Matt Catchick, you wouldn't have had to leave work. You wouldn't have had to go to court. He can handle all of it over the phone and on your behalf, and just give you a call and a letter when it's done and tell you the amount of fine to send in there. And you've had almost no downtime. Yes, you do pay some legal fees, but they're very reasonable when it comes to it. So call us at 855-529-7469. That's the number I want you to call right now if you have a legal question of any area for us. Matt, what's going on in family law? What's new in family law?
Well, family law has been pretty stable for a while, but I'll tell you in the area of drunk driving law, which, as you know, is one of my other specialties, there was a big case that recently came down. The case is called the City of Plymouth v. Longway. And in that case, what happened was there was a woman and her friends, and they went to a bar. And when they left the bar, the bouncer or the doorman noticed that they were really intoxicated, or at least they appeared intoxicated. So he called the cops and gave them a heads up. So the cops were watching these women get into the parking lot. They got into their car in the parking lot. The woman put her car into reverse, which the police officer could tell because when you put a car into reverse, the rear white lights turn on. And then she put the car back into park, leaving the car stationary. At that point, the police officer arrested her. And the question was, had she operated the motor vehicle for the purposes of the drunk driving statute? And the Court of Appeals said yes, she had operated it. Because she had put the car into reverse and then put it back into park, which showed her ability to operate it and then put people in a situation of danger. And why this case is so important, Brian, is it kind of clarifies or narrows the defenses that previously we lawyers had under a case called People versus Wood, which is a 1995 case where the police officers found a guy in the parking lot, and although the vehicle was running, he was passed out. And in that case, the court said no, he had no ability to operate the motor vehicle to put anyone in a position of harm because he was passed out. And it was the classic case where he was just trying to warm up in his car. So if you're in a situation where you think you've had too much to drink and you want to get in your car to warm up, you have to be really careful about how you proceed, because even something as minor as putting it in reverse and then putting it back into park is going to be enough to get you convicted of drunk driving.
Now, it's really important that everybody understand that everybody at the Dailey Law Firm abhors drinking and driving. And it's not a good thing to do. You put people at risk. People die every single year as a result of mistakes made by drunken drivers. And nobody gets in the car with an intent to kill anybody. But what happens is they don't think. If you've been drinking too much, call a cab. It's going to be a lot less expensive, and it's worth the cost to save a life. It's really important that you do that. What we're talking about is how to deal with your drunk driving ticket after you've gotten it, which hopefully you won't get it because you're not driving drunk. But if you do, we're here to help at 855-LAW-SHOW. That's 855-529-7469. What do you say, Matt? Should we go to the phones and answer George's question?
Yeah, let's dive in.
George, you're on the Law Show.
Hi, how are you?
Doing great. What can I do for you, George?
I have a question about usury.
Okay.
I'm in a negative position with this bank, which I cannot name.
Yep.
And it's on what they call automatic withdrawal. So I'm in a negative position, and their policy is charge $28 per day for 14 days. Now, that comes out to a lot of money, and I'm in trouble to begin with. Is there such a thing as a usury law?
Yes, there is a usury law, but usury laws normally deal primarily with loans between individuals, non-banking entities. And, of course, banks got a lot of money, so they can go to the legislatures and purchase whatever legislator they want and get that legislator to vote in the way that they want them to vote. And they can actually contribute to judicial elections, so you end up with elections, you end up with Supreme Courts that are on the take and that don't serve the law but serve business interests. And so they're not normally, the usury laws are not normally applicable to banks. But in Michigan it is, if it is an interest rate that's in excess of 25% per annum, then the bank can be held back that under some circumstances. Now, federal law may have preempted some of that, so if you're ready to get into a fight with a bank, you're going to lose. The usury interest rate in Michigan between individuals is 7%. So if you've got a loan that's in excess of 7%, the court is not going to enforce that loan. You're not going to get any of the money back that you lent for principal, and you're not going to get any of the payments that you're entitled to. In fact, you're going to have to kick the payments back, so you made a bad deal. We're answering all your legal questions at 855-LAW-SHOW. We're going to talk to Therese now. Therese, welcome to the Law Show.
Thank you.
What can I do for you, Therese?
Well, I was involved in an accident on I-75, and I was slowed because the traffic in front of me slowed, and the car behind me did not slow, hit me with full force, and I went up the embankment, came down, it landed, and finally it got onto the shoulder. And the reason it stopped, because the traffic in front, there was an accident that happened 10 minutes before mine, so
Okay.
the police were already there. But physically, I just had a cut on my hand and slight discomfort in my neck area, but my car was totaled.
Right.
And I'm a senior citizen, and I can't afford a new one, so I leased one right now.
Right.
So I wondered if I can sue for the property value of my car.
You can't, and the reason why you can't is because assuming the other vehicle had insurance and you didn't have insurance to cover your collision, then you will not be able
Yeah,
to
I
sue.
did have insurance. I had AAA insurance.
Well, do you have collision coverage? In other words, do you
I
have...
don't know. I have to look at that.
Yeah, you have to take a look at your policy. Do you have an access to an email, Therese?
Yeah, I do.
Why don't you see if you can scan your policy into me and send it over to me? Questions at the law.
Well, you know what? I don't have. I have email, but I don't have a scanner.
Well, maybe you could fax it over to me. If you would
I
fax
don't
it,
have a fax either.
you know, maybe you could call me on Monday and we'll go over it line by line. If you've got collision,
Okay.
if you've got collision coverage, you don't have any need to go after the other side. However, if there was any property that was damaged in your vehicle, like say for example,
No, there wasn't.
okay, well, there's something called a.
And I wasn't really damaged, so.
Okay, well, I'm glad.
But I
I'm glad to
wondered about the property value. I did get a settlement from the AAA,
Yeah, no,
but
I
it
think
doesn't nearly cover my
that's about all
getting
you.
a new car.
That's about all you
Pardon me?
get. That's about all you get. The other thing that you could get is you could pursue them for an injury if you wanted to pursue them for an injury. But it sounds like you weren't too badly injured. Did I leave anything out there, Matt?
No, I think that's very straightforward. And, like you said, I think that what people don't understand is just how important it is to have collision insurance. I know that if your vehicle's paid off in full, you're not required to do it. But what would you say to somebody that asked, well, do I really need collision? What would be your response to that, Brian?
Well, it depends. I mean, they're taking a risk. Like, for example, in the vehicle that I drive, although if I were to sell that vehicle, I wouldn't get very much money for it. I'd want to have it repaired because I don't want to spend the money on a vehicle that would be comparable in today's dollars. So there's some vehicles I cover with collision coverage, and there's some vehicles I don't because I don't really care about them in terms of whether they get damaged in an auto accident. But it's a risk you're taking. If you're willing to take the risk that you're going to end up paying out of pocket to get it fixed or junking the vehicle, then it's a risk that's worth taking. But maybe it's not. We're going to continue answering all your legal questions at 855-529-7469. That's 855-LAW-SHOW. That's 855-LAW-SHOW. You can also email your questions to questions@thelawshow.com. We're going to talk to Gary now. Apparently his daughter got a speeding ticket. Welcome to the Law Show, Gary.
Hey, thanks. My daughter, 20 years old, got a speeding ticket about a month and a half ago, and I told her definitely go to court and fight it. You don't want the points on your record.
Yep.
Which she did, and she got the points waived, but they stay on her record for, they said, a year, and if she gets another ticket, they'll go back on her record. However, they're kind of set aside for now.
It sounds like an under-advisement.
I told her keep her nose clean and drive safe, and she just got another speeding ticket not even 2 weeks after her.
Is it in the same court?
I'm sorry?
Is it in the same court?
Yes.
Uh-oh. So, Matt.
Yeah.
Let's talk to the expert on traffic tickets, and by expert I don't mean he gets a lot of them. I mean he handles a lot of them.
Yeah, it sounds like what your daughter had was a type of situation that we call taking a ticket under advisement. That's where you admit responsibility, right. You stay good usually for a period of 6 to 12 months, and then after that the case gets dismissed. Technically, under SCAO guidelines, courts are not supposed to do under advisement tickets. For quite some time, over 10 years now, the vast majority of courts have stopped doing that. So I don't know if you're one of the few remaining courts that still does an under advisement, but if your daughter has picked up a second ticket and she's relatively young, it is crucial that she goes in on that second ticket with a traffic attorney, because what's going to have to happen is the traffic attorney is going to have to negotiate and try and plan or bargain to try and keep that second ticket not only off her record, but also preserve the under advisement status of her first. And I can't guarantee you I can do that, but certainly I have several tricks up my sleeve, such as offering up the client to take driving classes and things like that to try and convince the prosecutor to keep her record clean. But if you want to call me Monday morning at the same phone number, I'm more than happy to go over it with you in detail. But your daughter definitely needs a lawyer in her situation, because not only is she under advisement on her first ticket, but she's also young.
Right. I know. It's terrible.
Well,
They never learn, do they?
yeah, but I've been able to fix a lot of people with a lot worse driving records than your daughters. So please call me on Monday, because certainly there are some opportunities there to try and keep a record clean and keep you from having to pay extra thousands to your car insurance company.
Thanks for calling the Law Show. We're going to continue answering all your legal questions at 855-529-7469. That's 855-529-7469. 855-LAW-SHOW. You can also email your questions to questions@thelawshow.com. We're going to talk to Mary. Mary, welcome to the Law Show.
Yes, I've got a question for you. I hope you'll be able to answer it. I have what they call an ileostomy permanent,
Yes?
but it can be reversed.
Reversed,
And
yes.
the thing that bothers me, if I have abdominal surgery and it's an emergency, they might want to reverse it to save my life.
Yes.
And I don't ever want it reversed under all circumstances. What can I do about that?
Well, you can just make sure that you go on record. I think you can get those medical cards. You can get other information that you can carry around with you that will give instructions about the type of medical care that you do and don't want. Your request is a bit unusual. I've never quite had one of those before. But let's say, for example, that you have a doctor who's working on you and you're unconscious, and they think, oh, I've got to reverse this thing, otherwise she's going to die. They're more likely than not going to reverse it. And so it's not bulletproof in terms of what you want to do, but it's something that is, I suppose it's doable. Matt, what do you think? You do a lot of probate and estate planning.
Yeah, that's definitely possible. I mean, it's, she's got a unique situation. Whenever there's a overplay between what the person's intent is and the doctor's efforts to try and keep the person alive as much as possible, it boils down to one of those very complex quality of life versus staying alive on machines type of issues. And, it's largely personal choice, but those are tough waters to navigate, Brian, I'll tell you.
It is really hard to do that. When my dad was still alive, God rest his soul, he ended up in the hospital. And he and my mother had done those do not resuscitate orders, which my mother is totally in favor of, and my father really didn't want. But he did it, I suppose, due to some pressure put on him by his wife, my mother. And lo and behold, he was a lawyer. You would think a lawyer, you'd be able to find that document if he really wanted it to be found. But they signed 6 of them, and they couldn't find a single one of them. So I'm guessing that he just didn't want it to be found. So those are really hard areas to navigate. But Matt works with them every single day. And if you don't have end-of-life instructional estate planning done, you need to get in right away and sit down and talk with Matt. We don't charge for the initial consultation. That's something that not every law firm will tell you, or they may tell you and then not follow it. You never pay the Dailey Law Firm a penny until you agree to do so in writing. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll be answering all your legal questions at 855-529-7469.